President Trump says he remains committed to building a wall along the Mexican border. But in New Mexico border towns like Columbus, reaction to that wall has been mixed. On special assignment, News 13's Chris McKee takes you to Columbus, a community deeply intertwined with their Mexican neighbors across the border.
I'm very happy with this little town.
On the United States southern edge, at the end of New Mexico, life is shared between two communities in two countries, even though boundaries dividing them are impossible to miss.
There's a lot of interaction between the two.
About 4 hours drive south of Albuquerque, Columbus and its 1,700 people live on the U.S. border, right next door to the town of Palomas, a Mexican town of about 5,000 people.
What we always enjoy about being on the border is the bicultural aspect. And
Columbus Mayor Philip Skinner has lived in the border town for about 30 years, along with running their small $1 million budget and one of just 2 hotels in town.
Calm down, calm down.
Mayor Skinner buses hundreds of kids to and from the border each day. Students who go to Columbus Elementary School who are American citizens living in Mexico. It's just one of the partnerships Skinner sees as crucial between the U.S. and Mexico.
if they were to close that border, we'd be at the end of the road, then we would be no reason for us to exist much. And so we're very dependent on Palomas.
With the new border crossing station set to be built in Columbus,
We need jobs.
Mayor Skinner hopes his economically depressed town can benefit from the cheaper labor in Palomas.
The model is in place all along the border. That's maybe business and factories in Mexico and support services on this side, warehousing, logistics.
Here along New Mexico's border with Mexico, people from both sides say their feelings towards each other haven't changed. Both Palomas and Columbus have enjoyed a symbiotic city relationship for years.
But they worry about the new rhetoric coming from President Donald Trump's administration and what it means for the city's future relationship. A 15-foot-high, miles-long steel fence already divides the two communities. It was built in 2006. President Trump now says he wants a bigger wall to further secure the border. The existing fence at Columbus ends a few miles east and west of town, turning into pipe and steel jacks that can stop cars but can't stop people. Still, the Border Patrol maintains a heavy presence. They look for illegal border crossers on the ground and by air into the desolate desert outside Columbus.
Do you think enhanced border protection is needed here in Columbus?
I don't see much activity here in Columbus.
Skinner is adamant he's against illegal crossing, but says that has died down since the fence went up and bolstered security got there a decade ago. While the mayor says he is not against Trump's wall and welcomes construction jobs it could bring, he also doesn't think it would make Columbus any more secure.
I don't think so, no. So I just don't see the activity here.
And that comes to mind even with the town's history. Columbus made headlines in 2011 after the feds caught ex-mayor Eddie Espinoza, the police chief, and a town trustee smuggling guns to Mexican drug cartels. Skinner doesn't think a bigger wall would stop that kind of corruption.
I think it was an example of people doing things wrong or against the law, but I think we can go anywhere and everywhere and see that example.
The mayor isn't the only local thinking about Trump's wall.
Do you think that people are pouring in from Mexico into this community?
Well, I think, not into our community. All they do here is they go through.
30-year resident and historian Richard Dean runs the Columbus Museum.
If we see them on the run heading north, going to Albuquerque.
He says it's hard to tell if a bigger wall would help.
We're not too concerned about safety and security.
Other Columbus residents we heard from weren't keen on a bigger wall either.
I think Trump is way off base in his fears about immigration.
It's very bad. We don't need it.
A lot of people in Palomas are American citizens and they work on this side.
Well, I don't want to be 6 months down the road, feel unwelcome when I walk over there.
Back at the border crossing, Mexicans from Palomas, like Jacob Marquez,
My perspective, it's kind of ridiculous.
and Rafael Calderon wonder what Trump's wall means for the local future generation.
I think there's going to be a lot of people hurt, you know what I mean? Because our kids are Americans. They need a school over here.
With hundreds of students to educate in a poor corner of New Mexico, a bus driver,
This new president
who didn't want to share his name, thinks money for a bigger wall could be spent elsewhere.
to take those millions or billions of dollars to put up a fence. Don't you think that we could invest that money in something that maybe you could use or your family could use?
For now, Columbus will have to wait for answers from D.C. On special assignment, Chris McKee, KRQE News 13.
The only definite plan the feds have to change Columbus's border with Mexico right now is to build a new port of entry or a border crossing station. That should be done about the same time that Trump hopes to finish that wall.